Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. I've given up working on the blade for the moment, just to tell you the latest. With the new high-powered Dremel, I have actually very lightly scorched the blade, and there are, I don't know if you can see, maybe not in the light, but there are some brown, very light scorch marks on here. I don't want to take it any further as this is my first attempt, but it's something that I thought I should mention. As you could ruin the blade like that. Now, although I was working with the Dremel, I was actually holding the blade and constantly feeling to see how hot the blade was. I should have, on reflection, perhaps had a glass of cold water here and constantly dipped the blade in the water. So I'm going to send that off to my friend Dean to put on his buffing machine, which is much bigger than a Dremel, and hopefully he will fix it up for me. It's not ruined, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't want to take this further and don't want to ruin that blade. Although, I could probably use it as it is. It's certainly, if it was honed, it's certainly usable. It's not quite up to the standard that I was hoping to get on my first time out. And I think if I was to do this again, actually, I would buy a bench buffing machine. We have two stores over here. One's called Aldi and one is called Lidl. And I know, because I got a link the other day, if you go to the store, you can buy, they sell everything. And they do a little buffing machine with a belt sander all in one. It's really, really inexpensive. And I think with the bigger wheel, it would work better than a Dremel. I've also found a German company, and I'll try and get the link for it, just out of interest. It's the best company I've seen so far for selling polishing compound, because it asks you what metal you want to use the compound on, and there are 5 levels, and it goes straight from, and it's marked on the bottle: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 is your mirror finish. So that's all you need to buy. Now they're big bars, but I think that actually would have been sort of more cost effective than trying to do it on the cheap and buying lots of little things that didn't quite work as well as I would have liked. So there we are. That's my experience so far. So what you've got me doing today is I'm going to draw around the blade. I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to hold the sharp edge of the blade flat to the paper. And get there we are, we'll make a mark for the pivot, and we'll get the lead of the pencil right in as close to the edge of the blade as we can go. There we are, that's okay. So there you can see I've drawn my blade, and I'm going to take one of the old scales which I have here, and I'm going to try and mark this up And I wonder if I can see it through there. I want to try and get the pivot point. There we are. I think I've got it. I'll just put another mark in there, and if there's two dots I'll know I was not quite. And I'm going to draw around this as well. Yeah, I was very close. I was very close with the pivot point. There are 2 points, but that will do. Doesn't have to be spot on. What I'm noticing is that, and I noticed this when I first got the razor, there's a lot of space between the end of the blade here and the end of the scales here. So I'm actually going to cut that down to about this far, and that was why I drew the blade in. I wanted to see what I'd got. So you know, I'm going to cut that down to maybe about there, like that. I could go with that shape, or let's get that right. Or I could just go straight across with rounding the edges. I think that's a bit too close. But that's given me an idea of how it looks. So I'm going to actually, I'm just going to draw around this part of the scale again, because what I want to do is take this out a little bit further. And I think maybe that's 2 squares, 4 squares, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I think maybe to about there, like that. So maybe the shape of the bottom one, like that. And what I'm going to do, he says, looking for a pair of scissors, which I've got somewhere. I'm going to cut this out. So I'll just cut straight down now, and what I'm going to do is, you won't get to see this, but I'm going to just play around with a couple of shapes. So I can also do this with the pointed end, as you saw me draw a moment ago. Now I can cut that end off there. And what I'll do in a moment is to just compare this to the original. I just want to take that out a bit further, and I think maybe like that. So there we are, there's my shape, which I'll put it on top of the original. It's just a little bit shorter. Maybe I could go shorter still. Of course, the handy thing is, now that I've got it cut out, I can just effectively lay it over the blade to see what it's like. Of course, what I should have done was marked the pivot to make sure that's in the right place. I could do it the other way round, but as the pivot is in the right place on the original, I think that would be the most sensible thing to do. So I will do that again and cut out the various shapes. Once I've done that, I have some horn here. Now you can see I've got a lovely dark horn. Now my other two razors are in a dark horn, and I was considering going for a light horn. I bought this off the internet. The dark horn was from my friend Dean. I got this off the internet, but it is too thick. This is about 5mm, 4mm. It needs to really be between 2 and 3mm for a set of scales. When I mentioned to Dean that I bought this, he said, "You're going to have to lap that down," and he said, "Good luck with that," and he had a little chuckle to himself. So I'm guessing that that is a really hard thing to do, but I will give it a go anyway. But what I would do for demonstration purposes, I love the pattern on that. Look at that. Now when that's polished up, that's going to look absolutely beautiful. And you know, of course, by using a piece of horn like that, I can get the pattern to continue over both sides of the razor. Anyway, what I would do is tape my template to the horn, just a little bit of sticky tape front and back to hold it, and then I think I'd draw around that with perhaps a permanent marker, so I've got a good line on it, and then I cut that template out of the horn, and then once I've got two, we're ready for working on the handle a little bit more. So that, gentlemen, is my next step. Now I'm going to wait for the blade to come back before I put out the next video, so there might be a week missing, but there we are. That's where I'm up to so far. I will get this finished. So until I see you again, take care of yourselves, and thanks for watching. All the best now. Bye bye.